And as always, reviews and comments are welcome on this show. Look for us on our social media handles. Join us on TV on Facebook. Join us on TV also on Twitter. Drop us your tweets with the hashtag The Pulse. We'll be glad to share your thoughts with the rest of the world. We begin today with a developing story from yesterday, but now it's taking a new twist. The feud between the outgoing moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana and the Interior Minister is not ending anytime soon. In fact, today, the National Peace Council has waded into the dispute, denying some of the claims we've heard already. They have been holding a news conference in the last hour on this raging quote-unquote quarrel. Here's the chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante.
And I would like to say that from the act, as I have read to you, there can be no political interference in respect of the nomination of eminent members to the board and in respect of the appointment of a chairman of the council. You see, members of the board are nominated by their respective institutions. And as I have read to you, these are religious bodies and other institutions. There is no way that anybody can politically influence the Catholic Bishops' Conference to nominate somebody, or the Christian Council of Ghana, the Ghana Pentecostal Council, the National Council for Christian and Charismatic Churches, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, the Al-Sunnah Muslim Mission, Tijaniya Muslim Mission, practitioners of African traditional religion, and the National House of Chiefs. And then the recognized bodies that I have talked about. To influence them politically and say that this is the person you have to nominate and bring to us. No. Then when it comes to the appointment of the chairman, the president doesn't appoint. The Constitution says that the Act says that per Article 70 of the Constitution, he appoints. But in fact, what happens is that it is the board that will elect. And we have a minutes here of the processes that we went through in terms of the election. Once the person is being elected without influence from any quarters, the president, by inaugurating that board, is deemed to have appointed them to office. So that is the case. There is no such a thing as political interference as far as we are aware of.
Right, so that's Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante addressing that news conference today. He also took time to explain to us what the process is in having the chairperson of the National Peace Council elected.
You will notice that when the board was inaugurated, among the names was the name of Professor Emmanuel Mate, because the Christian Council had nominated him and nobody had removed his name from the list of the membership. In fact, the day that we met to elect the chairman of the council, he was to have been part of that. What happened was that two of our members were absent. One was absent with apology, and that is Bishop Sa. He had traveled. Professor Mate was absent because we didn't receive any apology from him, and he stated in the minutes. We did the election. Two people were nominated and seconded. At the end of the day, one person emerged as the elected member who the council had elected to be the chairman. And that was conveyed to the president through the Ministry of Interior. And so when we went for the inauguration, it was these people who were inaugurated, including Professor Mate. It was later on that the same Christian council that nominated Professor Mate brought us a letter to say that they had nominated the current chairman of the Christian Council, Reverend Dr. Edu Jemfi, to replace Professor Marty. That is their prerogative. It is the Christian Council that has the prerogative to nominate or to decide that, no, we want to bring this person. Why they did that, I'm not in a position to tell you. So that is it.
Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, he is the chairman of the National Peace Council, clearly making the point about the position of the Peace Council on this matter that started developing over the weekend into yesterday. Now, that's what we know. As of yesterday, the Interior Ministry released a press statement indicating that Reverend Mate had been deceiving Ghanaians on the issue of Mr. James Agaga, the Deputy Interior Minister, having sent him a text indicating that he should lobby for the position of chairperson of the National Peace Council. Well, we heard from the Presbyterian Church on this matter, and they made it clear that for them, they knew nothing of this. They're yet to reach Reverend Marty for this issue, and that they will get a response on this. Today, we've heard from the National Peace Council. The big question remains, who is lying? And we're yet to get a clear, definitive answer to this. We'll try and reach the Interior Ministry as well as the Presbyterian Church to get finality on this issue. But aside this matter, the National Peace Council today has also raised a new matter relating to the role of men of God as we draw closer to the elections. They speak of that issue of pastors or men of God predicting who would win the elections for this year. The National Peace Council says that practice must stop because it's creating tension in the country.
I think it is important for us to understand that politics per se is not something that any human being can avoid. You are a political animal. I am a political animal. And therefore, we will by all means be interested in politics. But I think as religious leaders, we should be very careful about partisan politics. Why? Because I'm a Methodist. And in the Methodist Church, sometimes when I'm meeting church members, I see people from MPP here, people from NDC here, people from CPP here, people from MPC here. If I take a stand for one particular party, I have divided my people. All I'm saying to them is that hold on to your preference, but live and let other people also live.
Will you counsel against predictions ahead of the election, especially?
I don't think it is proper for any religious leader to come out and predict anything. Even if God has revealed that to you, I think all things may be lawful, but it may not be expedient. It can create tension. And therefore, I'll plead with my fellow religious people to avoid so-called predictions. They don't help anybody.
Right, so that's the chairperson of the National Peace Council, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, raising that point about it's being needless for men of God to predict who wins an election. That should be left for the Ghanaians who will vote on December 7th to decide who will win the elections in this year. Still staying on election-related matters here on the show, majority of Ghanaians believe that youth unemployment is the main problem an incoming government must address. That's according to a survey by the Financial Accountability and Transparency Africa. Well, the group have identified 16 topical issues described as the real needs of the people of Ghana, which will feature in the manifestos of the political parties. Youth unemployment, good quality and purposeful education, accelerated economic growth, agriculture development, among others, are some of the issues identified in the survey. We can hear from Albert Kandapa, he's the chairman of the group, explaining why the Citizens Manifesto is important in the first place. And then we will interrogate these issues as spelled out in the survey.
Probably if you look at our constitution expected a president or a newly elected party to come and do for us what we want, not the other way around. And it's been said that that probably is why the constitution called for a national development planning commission, which outside of the government, independently, would have consulted widely in this country to produce a national development plan for us. And that probably party manifestos should have been drawn out of this national development plan. Therefore, what we should expect from a party manifesto is an outline of how they will implement what is in the national development plan. If this interpretation is correct, then obviously the political party manifestos that we are used to is not doing what probably the Constitution expected them to do, because they rather come and tell us what it is that they want to do for us. Probably going forward, we should start considering whether indeed that is what we want. The practical effect of this, it's also been pointed out, is that when you look at it critically, and when it comes to the utilization of the resources of the country, everything is left in the hands of one person, the president. Because at the beginning of the year, the president comes up with a budget. The processes for the preparation of the budget is such that the budget is what the president wants. The budget is put together by a minister of finance appointed by the president, and it is the president who gives him the guidelines. The budget goes to cabinet for it to be approved by a cabinet appointed by the president. And normally, it is what the president wants that will be the final document for the budget. The budget has to go to Parliament for the representatives of the people to approve the budget, the president having no right to approve it on its own. But again, come to think about it, in Parliament, the president has always had what he wants. We've never seen a situation where a member of Parliament from the opposition has ever said anything good about the budget that is taken to Parliament for approval. And we've never seen anybody from the government side also disagree. And this is because the president has majority of the members there, and majority of the members from the government side are looking forward to being appointed ministers, and they don't want to engage in any controversies challenging what the president has said. So when it comes to preparing the budget and allocating the resources, it is entirely in the hands of the president.
Right, that's a quick explanation of why that survey is even important in the first place. But let's delve into some of the details as spelled out today this news conference to outdoor the survey that's been done by the Financial Accountability and Transparency Africa Group. Joining us this afternoon is Godson Aloyito. Yes, he's an economist with FAT Africa. Thank you, sir, for joining us. He's to my immediate left. To my extreme left is Mr. Francis Dakwasari, the programs manager for FAT Africa. Thank you, sir, for joining us as well.
You're welcome.
I guess I'll begin with you for the work you've done for this survey. First, tell us the sample size for this work and how you arrived at these conclusions.
Well, the sample size is 1,000 people from the 10 regions of Ghana, so 100 people sampled in each region.
Per region?
Yeah.
And within what period was this survey done?
Within June 15th. Yes, June 15th and the end of June.
So 15th to the end of June.
Yeah, it was a 2-week period.
Now, is there a reason you chose that period within the year to do this?
No particular reason, but for our arrangements, we had been planning this. You need donor fund to do that and all that. So when we were able to put everything together, June 15th was okay.
Okay. Now, in the work you did, what kind of questions did you ask to elicit the kind of response are drawing at this conclusion that jobs or youth unemployment is the biggest issue in the country today?
We had thematic areas, and out of the thematic areas, we selected issues that we thought are of utmost importance. And so out of these issues, we asked respondents to rank them. And so we had 20 issues. You ranked them for us in order of importance. and out of that, youth unemployment was the highest ranked.
Okay. Now you say that it was based on 20 thematic areas. I'm just
20 issues out of 5 thematic areas.
20 issues.
Yes.
And what are the 5 thematic areas?
Public accountability, transparency, inclusiveness, equal opportunities, and human development. And then out of that, we went further to have 20 issues out of these thematic areas. Examples: good financial governance and accountability, public sector corruption, transparency in governance, funding of political parties, inclusiveness and equal opportunity for all, an effective sanctions regime, human development through pro-poor programs, good quality and purposeful education, youth unemployment, accelerated agricultural development, rapid industrial and tourism development, accelerated economic growth, environmental protection and climate change, human rights and rule of law, improved health services for all, and quality public infrastructure.
These are the areas that you looked at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So these are the areas that were ranked.
Now, for anyone who will sit back and listen to what you've just mentioned, why that angle? Why look at these 5 thematic areas? What informed that decision?
Well, we had a group of experts look at them first. You know, ordinarily you would say that if you are doing a citizens manifesto, you should pull the entire country. But you know that was going to be a very difficult work to do. So what we sought then to do was to have experts look at the economy as it stands now, give us these thematic areas, which in their opinion as experts were the major governance challenges. And out of these thematic areas, we distilled from them these 20 issues that we thought were of utmost importance.
So after these thematic areas were teased out, with which you had the 20 areas to consider, who were the ones who filled these questionnaires? Because some will wonder whose minds have influenced this work.
Ordinary Ghanaians from all walks of life, all gender, whether educated, not educated. Researchers just go out there into the marketplace, so to speak, to interview people. You have time, give me 5 minutes of your time? Okay, yes. So I give 5 minutes of my time. He has a mobile phone with him on which all these issues are ranked, are on, so he reads them out to you. Out of these, which one do you think it's your number 1? Which one would come your number 2? So we went out into the whole of Ghana, 100 people for every region, 100 people for every region, and so for 10 regions, you have 1,000 people. Indeed, it was a bit in excess of the 1,000 respondents, yes. Okay.
Now, I need to also understand, were these questions asked of individuals in only regional capitals, or these were ones done also in the remotest of areas in the country?
We structured it in such a way that for every region, you also needed to go into some district capitals. So it was more of the regional capitals and the district capitals that this research was done.
Okay. And what was the margin of error for it?
3%.
3%?
Yeah.
Isn't that too high?
I think it's okay.
How did you determine the margin of error?
I'm not a statistician, but these are things that we had consulted experts to do for us. And so I'm just giving you the information that I have as on how it was done. Yeah.
Now, why do they say that youth unemployment in the country is the biggest problem that needs fixing, for which reason an incoming government should consider greatly?
Well, we did not ask questions of why, but you are sampling and we have given you 20 issues. So of the 20 issues, youth unemployment ranks the highest. So reasons of why, no, but obviously you would know reasons of why. As a background to the manifesto, you would find that the experts have given us a background of youth unemployment or the employment situation in the country, all the statistics that are there for it. But of course, the why is that the people responded that this is what we think is our major problem.
Okay, Mr. Aloyito, let me bring you in at this point. You are an economist, so I'm sure that for these issues to do with job unemployment, it must be something that you are very familiar with. Are you surprised with the findings here, that youth unemployment is the topmost issue? Many seem surprised by it.
Certainly not. I'm not surprised, because it's a common thing. It's there for all to see that people graduate out of schools and there are no jobs. Okay, it's something we all see. You don't even need a survey, okay, to to come to terms with the realities on the ground.
Is that why some will say that if it's too obvious, why make it so clear that it should be a manifesto matter? Because if it's indeed a matter that everyone knows of, it's common knowledge, why make it a key matter?
Francis, there's a key developmental issue that ought to be addressed by the incoming government. And we cannot look on as citizens and say we should let the politicians decide how to fix it. It has to be flagged. And so as a civil society organization, it's our own way of contributing to the democratic process by going out there to ask the citizenry what their main issues are to be factored into the various manifestos of the political parties. Yeah.
Okay, but if you're saying that you ask questions relating to what they want to see in the manifesto, they say youth unemployment is a big deal, it should be dealt with. Why not proceed to ask what they want done about it? Because you may think that just highlighting it is enough. But if you ask them how they want it fixed, it may also help the political parties in deciding how to approach it.
Of course, after they coming out with the issues that are utmost for them, we went ahead per our experts to suggest specific solutions to government as to how to go about the concerns of the citizens we spoke with. Yeah, so today's event was essentially a validation workshop, so to speak, to validate the outcomes we got from the field. Okay, and it's not done yet. Yeah, we'll have another session based on today's interaction to fine-tune the suggestions and recommendations that came up today, and then we will have a press launch to outdoor the final version of our findings.
Am I to understand that the Citizens Manifesto is still a work in progress? It's
yes,
not done
it
yet?
is. It's not finalized yet.
Okay, so for the key elements you speak of, beyond youth unemployment, what other issues were topmost on the minds of many Ghanaians you spoke to today in your work you did?
We have education, economic growth, accelerated agricultural development, human development and pro-poor programs, inclusiveness and equal opportunity for all, environmental protection and climate change, improved health services, rapid industrialization and tourism development, and then quality public infrastructure. These were the topmost issues that were ranked.
Okay. Now, you say that you have a team of experts that look at these findings and then they proffer solutions or recommendations as to how they can be fixed. But when you talk about good and something education, you categorize the education.
Quality education.
Quality education. How do you quantify that?
How do we quantify good
exactly
and quality?
In making it an area for people to consider? How do they understand what that means to take it as even one of the main issues?
We are saying that good quality education is what the respondents want.
When you say good quality education, what is it?
And so it is incumbent on whoever is elected as government to know that these people want good quality education. As policymakers, what constitutes good quality education for my people? You may want further interaction to find out what, in their minds, good quality education is. For now, our work is what do the people want to see in a manifesto? And these things they have said.
But in terms of the coding, you did the coding for it.
Absolutely.
You said good quality education. What went into that determination of the coding of good quality education? So that for anyone who's watching, he will begin to appreciate what that means, and if further questions arise, they can explain it better.
Okay, Francis, let me come in. You know, with the just released, I think, WASI results, you could see the falling standards in our educational system. And most of the respondents, some alluded to some of those weaknesses as pointing to the fact that the current educational system has challenges in terms of quality. You asked earlier how we would quantify quality. Quality can be quantified in many, many ways. And for us, you know, how do you, the success rates of WASI students, okay?
Is the standard measuring rod for quality education?
It could be one, yes. Because quality is broad. You can't limit it to that only. It will be too myopic to limit that to
One area.
Yes.
And that's why I'm asking about
Yes.
the key indicators for you, because that helps anyone who looks at that broad spectrum of quality education to appreciate what you're doing with this research.
Precisely. And then the rate of progression from SHS to university. Okay, there has to be a chain. How many of our people are progressing along those lines? How many are falling off? These are issues that our political leadership needs to be concerned about. Yeah, so these are some of the areas that were pointers for us.
Okay, so if I understand what you're saying, what you just said about the coding for quality education is what your team of experts have explained as what the people were taking for. Is that it?
Not exactly. You see, for what the respondents are taking, they are taking according to their preference of a strata that we have given them.
Exactly. But
we have given you 20 issues to respond to. Let's say, Francis, between your watch and between your bracelet, which one do you want an incoming government to address? Okay, I want my bracelet first and then my watch second.
I get that part, but you see,
Yes.
the complexity here is this. If it's just a simple case of watch and bracelet, I'm sure anyone can understand. But once you begin to say good quality education, it's not just education, you've codified it, added a certain element to it.
Yes.
Do the people understand exactly what you mean by that in determining whether or not it's a main issue for them?
No, the truth of the matter is that you do not go to the people, look at the nature of the survey. You do not want to burden the respondent. You have the issues structured, 20 issues. I have a mobile phone with me. Which of these 20 issues, in your opinion, do you want your government to address for you? So one of them, good quality education. However you understand good quality education, that's your interpretation of good quality education.
Okay.
So that if, for instance, education does not matter to you, what do I care? That will rank last. If agric is my most important one, that will rank first. Now, after the ranking, government, look at these, or politicians, look at these. This is what your people are saying. In our minds, we want this in this pecking order. Address this for us, allocate more resources into this, allocate less resources into that.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, for the work you've done as a group on this, how do you intend translating this Citizens Manifesto into the scheme of things for this year's elections? Because I'm sure for anyone who's listening, he would want to understand how this will fit into the plan of any political party in deciding this election.
Yeah. In our preamble to the manifesto, we have said that we believe that every serious political party would have considered some of the things that we are talking about. And for sure, it would not be a new thing. The important thing is that this is the document, look at it, see how it fits into your own manifesto.
Okay, all right then. So, Mr. Aloito, you are an economist. Based on what you just saw in this work, how does this help anyone who's planning his or her manifesto? Okay, sorry, for the political parties, their manifestos for this year's elections.
Okay. Looking at the economic growth bit of the work we did, clearly you could see that the economy did not do quite too well over the past few years. Okay, and then one thing that came up was the real sectors of our economy, agric, manufacturing. Agric, I think, recorded growth rates of 2.4% last year, as against 4.6% in 2014. That clearly tells us agric is suffering. Okay, and then it needs some level of concerted efforts to help us make the maximum gains out of agriculture. And for me, I believe the real sectors seriously need some attention from the incoming government, because we can't all those sit aloof, unconcerned. The issues have to be raised. And in the macro economy as well, over the past few years, things have not gone on too well. Inflation is above 17%. You have unemployment rates going up, the rising debt levels. All these are issues that the incoming government would have to set up to try to resolve in order that the economy will grow at the level we would all want it to.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Alito, for coming today. Thank you also, Mr. Asare, for sharing your thoughts, helping us understand the work that's been done by the Financial and Transparency Accountability Africa, FAT Africa. Thank you for joining us today for the explanation. And just so you know, based on the work that they've done, tomorrow we'll have another conversation here, still staying on the issue of promises, but this time with a special focus on the political parties, what they make of these suggestions and how it will influence what they put together in their manifesto. We'll hit the campaign trail in just a moment and also get to understand what promises are being made and whether or not they even tailor into the general minds and thoughts of what should be in their manifestos for this year. Stay with us.